What's up, y'all? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and today we're going to be talking about Haiti. That'll be this episode. I'm also going to be talking about Afghanistan and how the Taliban has now been saying that they will not seek revenge against Afghanis who worked with the U.S. military while we were occupying. Later on, I'm also going to talk about Kyle Kulinski and a couple of the bad takes he's had on Afghanistan and Joe Biden. He's going all out Biden bro on this Afghanistan withdrawal thing, which is super naive, and he's not naive enough to have that stance. So this is like the last nail in the coffin for Kulinski. His channel has gone full defense of the Democratic Party of late. I think Cenk Uygur's probably in his ear. We'll talk about that. But first I want to talk about Haiti, you guys. Now, I didn't do an episode on the assassination of their president, even though I did mention it on the show. And the reason for that is I'm just really not super aware of what's going on in Haiti. It's just not one of the things that I normally read on. So usually what I do in these situations is I'll mention it on the show and then shoot you guys a link to somebody who knows a little bit more about it than I do. I saw that there was some CIA linkage to the assassination, like the assassin himself, but then I never saw much else come out about it, so I didn't post an actual video about it. So if something changes and I can get more information on it, I'll probably do an episode, but this episode is about Haiti just had a over 7 on the Richter scale earthquake. So we're going to read about that from Common Dreams, and then I'm briefly going to tell you what the squad is saying about it. At least Cori Bush rhetorically has been tweeting correctly. She believes that we need to start taking Haitian refugees, which is obvious. And most of them are like, yeah, we also should not be deporting Haitians. No shit. Joe Biden said he wasn't going to deport Haitians, and then he started deporting them the day that he got into fucking office. So we're just fighting him again to keep one of his promises that he already broke. So I'm going to read to you here from Common Dreams' Brett Wilkins. As Haitians reel amid the aftershocks of a major earthquake, a tropical storm, political upheaval, and the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, refugee advocates this week are calling on the Biden administration to stop deporting people back to the ravaged nation and to extend its temporary protected status designation. That's TPS. According to the California-based Haitian Bridge Alliance and the Florida Immigration Coalition, 2 deportation flights left Texas for Haiti last week. Melissa Tavares, Director of Government Relations at the Florida Immigrant Coalition, told the Miami Herald that around 100 Haitians, all non-criminal Haitians, including women and children, were deported on August 10th and August 12th, just 2 days before the magnitude 7.2 earthquake that has killed so far at least 1,419 people and injured more than 6,900 others. Quote, my question is whether it is the goal of the U.S. government to continue to contribute to the destabilization of Haiti, asked Haitian Bridge Alliance co-founder and executive director Guerlain Joseph. Quote, how can the U.S. government deport anyone to Haiti right now? How do they think so little of Haitian lives, deporting children and babies in the middle of this chaos? This is a clear example of external violence that continues to deepen the instability in Haiti, Joseph added. What is the purpose of sending a 2-year-old to Haiti right now? It cannot be deterrence. We all know that deterrence does not work. We also want to know who in Haiti's government is accepting these flights, which is a form of internal violence. We need answers from both the United States and Haiti. In May, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security designated Haiti for temporary protected status, which permits recipients to live and work in the United States for a given period without risk of deportation, for 18 months. According to DHS, the May designation, quote, enables Haitian nationals currently residing in the United States as of May 21st, 2021, to file initial applications for TPS so long as they meet eligibility requirements. Following the assassination of former President Jovenel Moïse last month, DHS further expanded Haiti's TPS through February 3, 2023 to include Haitians living in the U.S. as of July 29, 2021. Tessa Petit, Florida Immigration Coalition's Director of Operations, questioned expulsions of Haitians this year, noting that some may be illegal because if the deportees were quote-unquote on U.S. soil prior to July 29th, they should be eligible for TPS. Quote, our concern is that folks who are being deported because they don't have due process. It's hard to know if they entered the U.S. before July 29th. Petit told the Herald. The Biden administration has faced intense criticism and legal action for its use of public health provision known as the Title 42 to fast-track deportations during the COVID-19 pandemic. The administration deported more than 300,000 people its first 100 days, largely under Title 42. Additionally, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, whose own family fled revolutionary Cuba for the U.S. in the 1960s, drew ire last month after he announced that Cuban and Haitian refugees who flee their countries by boat were not welcome in the U.S. Andre Mondesir, lead organizer for the National TPS Alliance, told the Herald that we are, quote, urgently calling Secretary Mayorkas and the Biden administration to once again extend new TPS designation date for Haiti to benefit more Haitians currently residing in the U.S. And then let's go right down here. Leah Chavala, senior police advisor at the Women's Refugee Commission, said in a statement that it, quote, is crystal clear that now is not the time for the United States to be forcibly removing anyone to Haiti, and frankly, it has been dangerous to do so for months. That's exactly right, guys, and that's what I've been saying. Joe Biden is terrible on this. I think he deported something like 30 to 60 Haitians the first week he was in office. And he said on the campaign trail that he wasn't going to deport people anymore. So, again, the oligarchy gets what they want, regardless of what color tie our leader has on. We're deporting people to these countries when we shouldn't be. And beyond that, of course, Haiti is in particular chaos right now because of the, part of it's climate change, part of it's the earthquake, part of it's the assassination of their president, and of course they're a third world country, so not a lot of money there, so they're in upheaval right now, and it's total chaos, and we're still sending people back. No, you got it flipped, Joe. We should be providing refugee status and giving them a place to live in dignity. Especially if it turns out that it's true that the CIA was responsible, which it wouldn't surprise me, for the assassination of Moise. We do this to countries all the time, and this goes for Haiti, but also Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, you name it. We go and we meddle in these countries, and we cause a lot of this chaos. We contribute to climate change, which contributes to, as we know via a study that came out, or I forget how long ago it was, but third world countries get hit most by the effects of climate change by far. And we contribute to that climate change more than any other country by far. And then we don't help anybody when these countries are in turmoil. It's fucking inhumane. And this is one of those things that it happens under Biden, it happens under Trump, it happens under Obama, it happens under Bush. It doesn't matter. This is how the military-industrial complex operates. It makes a whole bunch of money for weapons manufacturers and contractors, and those contractors have the Bidens and the Trumps of the world in their pockets. So this is never going to change unless we rise up and say no more bullshit in these countries. And yeah, of course, I want to accept Afghani refugees, and I also want to accept Haitian refugees. But no, we've deported 300,000 people. And, we're trying to make it more difficult for the Haitians that are already in our country to stay here. It just doesn't make any damn sense. And there's still these yuckos, and now Kalinsky has joined this team that is, they're acting like U.S. imperialism is like empathetic, and it's like it's the correct thing to do on a moral and ethical basis, like Vosh. You guys can straight up get fucked. That is an establishment CIA-backed narrative, and they know better. They're just mouthpieces for the establishment at this point, which is why I gotta go after Kalinsky later. But we'll see what happens in Afghanistan. It seems as though they're still gonna keep CIA-backed ops and counterterrorism ops there, so they're not fully pulling out of Afghanistan. And Biden more or less has admitted that he is open to sending troops back there, so again, all it takes is just manufacturing consent for another invasion, and he'll yo-yo the troops. So until I see zero private and or public-funded American troops in Afghanistan, and we literally have left the country, I'm reserving judgment And methinks I've been burned too many times to listen to Joe Biden and believe what he has to say. So methinks they're withdrawing from Afghanistan for the headlines. They'll yo-yo the troops and keep a bunch of privatized ops in the country and let the CIA continue to meddle in the country. That's what I think will happen. But it seems right now that he's pulling some troops out. So I guess tacit fist bump. But I'm not one of those people that's going to be like cheering on the Biden administration like they're actually leaving Afghanistan. Get fucked. Let's also get something very clear, and I'll go over this in the next video as well. The Taliban was going to take over the country soon anyway. They were there, regardless of whether we were there or not. They were going to take over the country pretty soon anyway. They're stronger today than they ever have been. So this is really Biden leaving the country with his tail between his legs more than it is the narrative that Kalinsky's running with, which is, oh, he's doing the right thing for moral reasons and he's getting out because he's a good guy. No. The Taliban was going to take over the country more than likely very soon anyway. Biden knew it was going to be very costly to stay there. And he's got other aspirations like bombing Somalia, maybe invading Syria. He's got other fish to fry. They didn't just add $25 billion extra dollars to the military budget to pull out of Afghanistan and not start other wars elsewhere on the globe. So my guess is that Biden just has his eye on 2 or 3 other countries right now, and we'll just have to keep a close eye on him to make sure he doesn't do what they did in Afghanistan to Somalia or Syria or God knows where else. I've even seen, I'm not going to speculate. We'll see. Let's keep an eye on Joe Biden. And I got to come out and smoke Kyle Kulinski later because he's just on the wrong side of this. And all these fucking neo-libs in the center, man, giving Biden all this credit on the Afghan withdrawal when it's not a full withdrawal. He's privatizing a lot of the war. And also, even if I granted these people that it were a full withdrawal, he's not doing it because he's good. He's doing it because the Taliban was going to probably take over the country very soon anyways. So we'll go over that in another episode. Keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.